When's the last time you celebrated your spouse? And we're not just talking the big moments, but the everyday wins that matter as well.
So this was a habit that we had to learn to be intentional in our marriage, but it was learning to just have a grateful heart towards each other, a grateful heart towards what the Lord is doing, and being able to see what it is, even the things that we're grateful for in life.
I think as you stay married and as you continue on in the journey, it's really easy to allow the things that each other does become expectations. So when things become expectations, they don't become recognized as something that you're grateful for.
Yeah. It's just like, that's on your to-do list. That's what you do.
Right. And so I think for us, when we started going, hey, what would it look like? I remember how it started. I remember expressing something out loud that was super simple, thanking you for, and it went so far. Like, you were so grateful that I was grateful. And I was like, oh man, that I have thought that for years, but the fact that I'm saying it out loud,
voicing it,
means something to you. And I think that's when it started to kind of click that, oh, I should probably use my words more than I think.
Yeah. Like allowing to affirm each other, where I would say even one-on-one with each other, but also in front of others, being able to affirm. Like, that's one thing that I feel like have grown and have just an incredible strength of, is like, you make me feel like Superman at times in the way that you affirm me in front of others in the community and all.
Well, I think the sad reality can be sometimes when you don't feel like your spouse is meeting your expectation in an area. You tend to, quote unquote, like they feel like they're being nagged, or that they're not far enough along spiritually. If you're like, I want you to pray over me and I want to do Bible study together, or I wanted you to do this. And so I think what that can do is create a little bit of insecurity.
Yep.
Let's just speak from the female perspective to the male.
Sure.
If I were doing that to you, that would create some insecurity in you of, oh man, I'm not doing this right. And as a man, I feel like that's probably hard. You'd rather just not take the step to do something than fail.
If I'm not gonna, no man wants to look bad at doing something. So if it's like, oh, you don't believe in me, you don't think I can do it, then I'm not gonna do it. And I think that's the rich opportunity that spouses have for each other, is to speak into and bring life that way.
Well, and think about, this analogy comes up so much in my mind when I'm thinking of different things, but when our kids learned how to walk and they took steps, we always praised them for taking the next step, even if it never became an official step, but they did it.
Yeah.
And so what would it look like to praise your spouse for the step they took? Not the perfect step, not the step that they got it right in your opinion, but just taking the step. So an example would be, if I'm a wife who's wanting my husband to lead us spiritually, and I'm like, I just want him to lead us in a Bible study, what would it look like to start small and thank him for driving us to church on Sunday? That it's a priority to him, for our family, to get in the car, get to church. Like, how can you see the step and affirm that?
Yeah.
How far would that go in your mind as a man?
Well, I think it's one of those things that are just taken for granted, right? And it's like, no, it's like you're noticing. I think you're observing and you're noticing of like, no, I want the spiritual health and our commitment to the local church to be our priority. And then when you acknowledge that, it's like, oh, okay, this is good. But you're also becoming like a safe place and a safe environment to be able to take some risks too. So by you knowing like, oh, you're going to affirm, like we hear often like with spouses that don't want to pray for each other, well, or pray in public, is there some shame that's correlated? Is there some hesitancy? Is there a past wound that's correlated? Can we create an environment where just even them attempting to pray, we can praise them for that?
I love that, of seeing the good and being grateful. Well, like you said, at the beginning, as this practice has changed our marriage, I think if we're talking even just small house rules of expectations, you do the dishes, I do the laundry. And when we started saying, thank you for doing the dishes, which again, you've maybe been expected to do them, even though it's not, but you felt this a sense of value. And I felt a sense of value when you'll call out different things that you've seen me do or ways I've loved our kids, or even more recent when you homeschooling our kids and you were like, hey, I noticed how patient you were sitting at the table, standoff with our little one. And so it allows us to feel that worth. And I think it also brings that we're a team doing it.
Yeah.
And so we're encouraging each other, because if we're on the same team, we're doing the same work.
I think it just gives the opportunity for us. Like, you may have not thought that you were having patience with our small one. As I'm watching you stare down, like, I'm not moving. You've got to do this. We're going to go through this exercise and worksheet, whether you like it or not. And you just were patient, and you were pointing, and it's second nature to you because you've been doing this for so long. But it's also something I've just noticed about you, and I'm just so thankful for what you were doing.
Well, thank you for that. We had a good friend talking to us today who said, correct me if I say this wrong, but he basically pointed out the fact that what gets repeated is what gets rewarded.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to reward, like if I'm going to, encourage and thank you for the different steps you've taken, often that's when you go, oh, I'm going to repeat this. Like, that feels like I love that. I love that. And we see that with our kids.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. All the time, where we're rewarding them for making their bed, even though it's on their chores list, right? Like, even though there is expectation, this is what we do, but saying, man, Mikey, you made your bed so great today. I can take a quarter and bounce it off your tight sheets, right? Praising him for, and allowing him to know that we're noticing what you're doing.
Well, let's talk just female to male perspective. We're made so different. So it can be really easy to want to go, well, I would just like you to be more like me, and I would like you to do the things and consider the house clean the way that I consider the house clean, and the way that I connect with the Lord. I want you to connect with the Lord. And so what does it look like for a couple to kind of shed those expectations, but be in a place where they can kind of recognize, oh, I kind of need that.
Yeah. I think, one, it's realizing that we're supposed to be students of our spouse. So our spouse was uniquely created in the image of God. They've been uniquely been given different spiritual gifts and different talents, and because of the way that they've grown up in different ways, they're going to do things differently. Like, you connect with the Lord by being outside, being on a hike, like being active in that. I like being by myself with study and being able to be quiet in the darkness and enjoying that. Just because we connect with the Lord in different ways it's not a hierarchy of point system or something like that. I can champion and be encouraged, but I gotta notice and see how my spouse is growing or being challenged, and acknowledge that publicly.
So what would you say to the spouse, whether it be the husband or the wife, who's just like, I don't know, I'm really struggling to see anything that my spouse is doing right. They feel lazy, they feel apathetic, they feel it's just kind of in these categories. What would you say to that person?
Sounds like a great way to start off in prayer of like, okay, Lord, would you help me to see my spouse like you see them? And would you help me to find the good? Will you help me see the good? What's the good that you can help me to see in my spouse? And then allow the Lord to bring that to mind. Allow the Lord to speak that to you. And then don't hold it just for yourself. Share that with your spouse.
The Whirlies are known for celebrating. So we celebrate big things, small things. And so what I love what you're saying is almost, as a wife or a husband is looking at their spouse and to be able to pull something out and encourage them. Like, we want to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah. Totally.
We want to make the smallest step look like and be praised that, hey, no matter what, you took this step. You want to have a spouse who's still willing to take the steps, even if they're small ones,
Yeah.
and going, oh, this is a big step. Like, I actually got to encourage a wife this past weekend who, I'm not quite sure how long she's been married, but she, for the very first time, was able to get on an airplane without her husband, because she just never travels alone. And so when we were at this thing, I felt like I needed to encourage her of like, you took a step. And she didn't really see it. She was just like, I did it, and I was brave, and it was hard. And, you know, knowing her husband, I know he's affirming her and her biggest cheerleader. But we have to call those steps out, because even though I think you might see, oh, look how proud you should be, you don't always see that. Like,
Yes.
What does it look like for us to be each other's biggest cheerleader?
And that's what we just want to even challenge you this week, right? Is thinking and praying about your spouse. What is one way that you can affirm them publicly, that you can affirm them maybe one-to-one? What can that look like to be able to show your gratefulness of how your spouse is doing life?